In progress.
We're going to another type of methods of research. Today we're going to talk about interviews. And when we talk about interviews, interviews means that different researchers have asked questions from different interviewers. So interviewing occurs when a researcher directly asks questions about the topic from interviewees. That is what an interview is. Yes. Is it clear? So we have different types of interviews. We have the semi-structured interview, we have unstructured interviews, focus groups, and group interviews. All what these interviews bring about is qualitative data, because it deals with emotions and feelings of people. So they say what they have in mind. That's why we call it unstructured.
Interviews are qualitative. There's no quantitative.
Structured interview.
Yes.
Structured interview is quantitative. Because it has standardized questions.
Okay.
But unstructured interview, they don't have standardized questions. You get it now?
Yes.
So here we're going to talk about qualitative data, which is about unstructured interview.
Okay.
You know, when we talked about questionnaire, we have a structured. Questionnaire is also a structured interview because questions are standardized.
Yes.
It's an interview, but it's a question. Here, questions are not standardized. Questions are based on what interviewees say. There's no order of questions. So there will be a topic that has to be discussed about. That is where we talk about the prompts, where the interviewer has to discuss or briefly discuss about the topic to be discussed. That is a prompt. As soon as that is done, it's left for the interviewee to continue to talk about the topic. So questions will be derived from what the interviewee says.
Yes, so you can ask him questions.
Deep in, probe him or her. So it's unstructured. There's no standardized question.
Yes.
That's why we don't put structured interview as part of interviews here, because here we want to talk about qualitative data.
Yeah, we did.
Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay. So now, what's an unstructured interview? Yeah, I said unstructured interview. This is a form of interview. So for unstructured interview, now I said, this is a form of interview where questions are not set by the interviewer. Rather, questions are asked based on what the interviewee said about the topic. So it probes into the emotions and attitude of interviewees. That is unstructured interview. Do you get it? Questions, they are not standardized questions. The prompts will come, then questions will be based on what the interviewee have to say or has to say about the topic. Then questions will start coming up.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
So what are the features of an unstructured interview? One, the interviewers do not have to keep schedule of questions. So what does that imply? It implies that for unstructured interview, you don't have to keep questions, like you don't have to make standardized questions. You don't need that in unstructured interview. Two, the interviews are more like conversation. So it's more like a discussion. So there's no set questions. Yeah, that's what we call unstructured interview. The interviewer can follow up things that interviewees say by asking other questions. So because it's an unstructured interview, the topic is there. The interviewee has started talking about it, and that can bring about questions that could be asked by the interviewer. Yes. Is it clear?
Yes.
Right. In unstructured interviews, the interviewer has only a brief set of prompts. So, and what's a prompt? A prompt is a brief introduction about the topic that has to be discussed. So when it is unstructured interview, the only thing the interviewer has to do is to come up with the prompts. That means the topic that has to be discussed. Oh, Mr. XYZ. So this is what we need to talk about this. The interviewee knows about that already. So we need to talk about these things. Then the interviewee start talking about it. Then questions will now come based on what the interviewee is saying. Do you get it there?
Yes.
So we go to semi-structured interview. For semi-structured interview, we call it semi-structured interview because it's a form of interview where standardized questions are set, but the interviewee has the flexibility to answer the questions in which order he or she wanted. It's semi-structured. It's not structured, it's semi-structured. Why is it semi-structured? Because it gives the flexibility to interviewee to answer the questions in the way he or she wants it. Or if there are different questions, the interviewee has the right to place it in the order that he or she wanted. Oh, this is what I want to answer first. Okay, yeah, this is the topic we want to discuss. Okay, first I will talk about this, then I will come back to talk about this, I will talk about that, I will talk about this. So the interviewee has to choose the order in which the topic will go. That is semi-structured. Is it clear?
Can you like not answer all the questions?
Most of the time, the topics are something that you have to touch. You would have to answer them because they are qualitative answers. They bring about qualitative.
Semi is all about choosing which is first.
Yes.
But unstructured, you have to feel.
Unstructured is discussion that brings about you asking questions on.
Okay.
Do you get it now? For semi-structured, it's not like the questions are there, but the order at which the questions will be asked is through what the interviewee wants, in order of the interviewee. Is it clear?
Yes.
All right. So the difference, the difference between a structured interview and semi-structured interview is the flexibility in terms of response by the interviewees. The flexibility in standardized questions. In structured interview with standardized questions, you have to answer all the questions.
Yes.
There's no flexibility. You can't decide there. The questions are there for you to answer. But unstructured, no. Do you get the point here?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's clear. So now that takes us to